Biden's about 2 years in. He's having some problems economically with inflation that, of course, again, I saw a column today talking about inflation being Joe Biden's fault, which is, of course, hilarious.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. So this is the week that the leftist media reached some new lows over the issue of high inflation. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports a 9.1% jump year over year, the highest inflation in over 40 years. But Joe Biden lies, and he claims the report released on Wednesday uses old numbers. So that's what the media, or the Democratic Party mouthpieces, repeat without question.
President Biden hearing the news as he arrived in Israel, calling inflation, quote, unacceptably high, but also pointing to what he called, quote, out-of-date numbers, because he says gas prices have been slowly coming back down for weeks.
Today, President Biden said in a statement that June's inflation numbers were unacceptably high and were out of date.
President Biden calling the numbers unacceptably high, but also out of date, noting they do not fully reflect recent declines in gas prices.
The numbers represent June of last year as compared to June of this year, and you can't assess that until the month is over. The numbers are fresh. They came out on Wednesday. Really doesn't take much intelligence to figure this out. But again, this comes from a guy who told us that inflation reached its peak in December.
And I think you'll see it change sooner than quicker, than more rapidly than it will take, than most people think.
And the leftist nets repeated that then too. All they do is cover for this guy. Once again this week, economic expert Stephanie Ruhle on MSNBC telling us that inflation, it isn't that bad.
John, we've said it before, inflation is a global problem. And when you actually look at the U.S. versus other countries, it's like we're the best house on a bad street.
What street is she on? Let's take a look down the street of nations on the G20. Oh, there's only 5 countries doing worse than the U.S. She's such a liar. Maybe next month Biden will bring us to rock bottom on the list and she'll go into the known universe. You know, our economy is better than that of the moons and we can afford it.
While nobody likes to pay more, on average, we have the money to do so.
Idiot. This week, Jill Biden decided she didn't want to let Joe have all the fun, so she decided to enter the moronic statement sweepstakes for herself by comparing Latinos to breakfast tacos.
This community, as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
But you know, with the leftist media, it's no big deal.
I don't know if we all have stepped in it. I know I have stepped in it. So, Dr. Jill, just, hear the humor. We get it. We understood what you were trying to do. And just try not to do it again.
And today is Taco Tuesday.
Oh, it's Taco Tuesday. Let's celebrate this dumpster fire of an administration. This week, we saw way too much of Hunter Biden on social media as yet another info dump, this time allegedly from his iCloud, made the rounds. ABC, CBS, and NBC still refuse to cover any of the latest Hunter Biden scandals. Joe sells nearly $1 million of United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve to a state-owned Chinese firm in which Hunter Biden's private equity firm held a $1.7 billion stake. Yeah, no coverage. Possible federal prostitution charge for Hunter, no coverage. Hunter's hard drive contains the contacts of top U.S. officials tasked with overseeing the U.S.-China relationship and at least 10 senior Google executives. Could raise some questions about leveraging connections for personal profit, but, no need for coverage. You see, the Bidens are just faultless in the eyes of the leftist media.
In addition to the fact that Joe Biden could literally change the last initial of his first name to be Job Biden, given everything that's fallen upon his shoulders.
I love that lower third. Give Biden a break. I'm sure since they all claim to be fair media reporters, they would give breaks on both sides, right?
We cannot sit here and pretend like, Republicans, cut them a break. We want to hear whatever. They have a lot to answer for in this moment.
See, the GOP has a lot to answer for, even though their guy isn't currently in the White House. But don't focus on the current problems.
Biden's about 2 years in. He's having some problems economically with inflation that, of course, Again, I saw a column today talking about inflation being Joe Biden's fault, which is, of course, hilarious.
Although, to be fair, so many of the challenges on the White House's plate are out of their control.
Nothing bad is ever Joe's fault, and by association, that goes for the eloquent Kamala Harris as well this week.
Together, we are expanding access to transportation. Seems like maybe it's a small issue, it's a big issue. You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
Wow. But don't criticize the stellar oratory stylings of Harris.
Kamala Harris. Oh my God. And every day, catnip. And people are like, oh my God, another Kamala Harris story. This is great. Let's look at this. I love this. This proves I am superior as a white man in my mother's basement at 44. Oh, more insults on Kamala Harris. It's all they do, right? So you're saying go.
Takeaways here, Joe, top of which is excellent impersonation typing as a FoxNews.com correspondent there. I think that
those last few moments from this week's Morning Joe brought to you by Discover. Give them a call and let them know the credit score that you give them on the shows that their ads are supporting. So now let's venture into some deep insanity. If there's one thing MSNBC's Morning Joe loves, it's political theater. So naturally, they would do a piece on a Broadway play called POTUS and fill it with plenty of leftist love with, yes, that is Rachel Dratch, best known for playing Debbie Downer on SNL.
Yeah, and when Mrs. Clinton was there, there's a line in the play where Vanessa Williams, who plays the First Lady, says that someone asks her, why aren't you president? And she says, that's the eternal question, isn't it? And the audience literally in the middle of the show rose to their feet, turned towards Hillary, and applauded her for...
Oh, my God, that's amazing.
Over a minute, which is a long time in the theater.
But also...
That's amazing.
The POTUS that is referred to in this, you never see the president, and it's not a certain president. It's sort of like an amalgamation of, a bunch of past presidents. So,
as someone who's covered a couple White Houses now, I'll say that the farce element sounds a little bit more like the Trump one than the current one.
Left can't let go of Donald Trump in the 2020 elections, and they still can't get over the fact that Hillary lost a presidential election 6 years ago. But they have no interest in discussing the failures of the current administration. That particular drama is always playing on the stage of MSNBC and every other leftist network.
Number one is, I think it's become clearer that fairness is overrated.
It's time to close the curtain. I'm Eric Shiner for MRC-TV, asking you to visit the MRC Store, get some great gear there. Please visit MRCTV.org for the latest in information, entertainment, and videos. Please like, share, and subscribe on the social media outlets that actually let you see us. And we'll be back next week with some more leftist media madness.